Did you know with just a few clicks, you can build an integration to Salesforce? That's right. With MuleSoft Composer, admins can build an integration from their Salesforce system to Google Spreadsheets with just a few clicks. Let's take a look. This is our new MuleSoft Composer. In MuleSoft Composer, you build flows, and those flows allow you to connect to other systems with Salesforce data and do things with that information. So in this example, we're going to update a Google spreadsheet with Salesforce data. So I'm on the flow details page, and I'm going to kick off this flow when a new campaign member record is created. I can define what fields I want to work with from Salesforce. And on the right, I can see a preview of the details, like what are the field types I'm working with, what type of data am I going to be accessing with this flow. This is super handy, so you make sure you're working with the right field types as you decide what to do with those fields that we're going to be working with in this Composer flow. So I can see my little preview here. I've got a bunch of text fields like company, email, first name, last name. Great. I feel good about my field types. Now let's go ahead and define when are we going to be working with these records. So we've said with our Composer flow that we want to do something every single time a new campaign record or campaign member record is added. But I want to make sure that I'm only running this flow at the right time. So I'm going to go ahead and use my if-else element here to define that I only want to do this when the company or the account is not Northern Trail Outfitters. So if I click in here, I can look at those conditions and I can add more complex conditions if I'd like. But this just helps you have more granular control over when are you running these integration flows, when are you updating information in other systems. So I can see here I've got the type of criteria that I'm working with if I want to use and or criteria. And I also can look at the Salesforce field is company or account. And now we're going to go to our next step. So a really handy thing about Composer Flow that I don't know if you've noticed yet is that it has the icon for what system you're working with right next to those sections. So we were in the Salesforce section and now we're in the Google Sheets section. So we're going to say, what do we want to do in Google Sheets? We've got a pizza making competition event tracker. What do we want to do in that Google Sheet when we have these new campaign records? Well, I'm going to go ahead and select the columns in my spreadsheet and where those should be populated with those Salesforce fields that we defined previously. So I've got my step 1 here. So those of you that are familiar with Flow, this should look pretty similar. We've got kind of the fields that we've predefined already. And I can go ahead and map those to the spreadsheet fields. So we've got the Salesforce fields mapping to our Google Sheet fields. So this is just a few steps. It's very intuitive. And we do have the icons to make sure that you know that you're in the right place when you're making these updates, and the previews and the details on the right panel that give you additional information about what it is you're doing. So I feel good about this flow that I've created in order to update my Google spreadsheet every time there is a new record added of a specific type. Now I'm ready to test this. So I click test, and now I'm in testing mode. And so I can go ahead and I can run this step of adding that new campaign member to my campaign. There we go. And go ahead and say next. And I'm going to go ahead and add my new campaign member. And now I'll be able, because I'm in test mode, to go ahead and go back and check and to see if this added a row in my spreadsheet. Now when I refresh my spreadsheet, there is my new record because I was in testing mode there. So with just a few clicks, we built a MuleSoft Composer flow that we connected to Google Drive, and we used it to update our Google Drive sheet every single time a new campaign member was added in Salesforce. And that's how in just a few clicks, Salesforce admins can build integrations from their Salesforce instance to other databases to bring the right information for their Salesforce users at the right time, and with logic. So this is a really useful tool for Salesforce admins to get hands-on with. Now, if you want to learn more, go to admin.salesforce.com and look for MuleSoft Composer, or go to our integration page at admin.salesforce.com/integration. And you can make sure you never miss a video like this by hitting the subscribe button on the Salesforce admins YouTube channel. We post tons of video content that helps you get hands-on with Salesforce and build great user experiences. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.